How's everyone doing? Hope you're all ready for some Mega Man 5. This is looking to be, I'm Feral Pigman, by the way. This is looking to be on paper, the closest race for the first round. We have the, I believe, 8th seed, DarkTerrex versus 9th seed, Chrissy, KaiserKrister. It's either 8th or 9th, 8th and 9th, or 7th and 8th. I can't quite remember. And their PBs, also, Terex has a 3650 and Chrissy has a 3654. So we have 4 seconds difference between these two runners, which is really exciting. I believe we're just waiting for the runners to get readied up. So I guess just some introductory info. Both of these runners will be doing. Oh, okay. Nope, Terex accidentally started his timer early. Both of these runners will be doing beat route. Now that Baron Haynes, who was the number 1 seed, is unfortunately dropped out of the tournament. Essentially, this means that I'm pretty sure every runner in this tournament now is going to be doing beat. But essentially, what this means is every Robot Master, all 8 Robot Masters, each have a letter throughout the stage, and by collecting the letter in each Robot Master stage. Kuma did beatless yesterday. Well, I stand corrected. Not everyone is going to be doing beat then, but I'm pretty sure these 2 runners will be. Although Chrissy was talking about potentially doing beatless. I don't know if he really will be. He's been discussing different backups and our safety strats. So it'll be really interesting to see what Chrissy ends up doing. We play Rockman versus Rockman 5 instead of Mega Man 5 because there's a cutscene after the Dark 4 boss. Cutscene with text, and like with most games, text runs faster in the Japanese version because of text, because it needs a lot fewer characters to convey the same meaning. So the Japanese version is about 18 seconds faster than the English version. But other than that, all the gameplay is the same and everything. So we're off. This is the first of up to 3 races, best of 3. But yeah, so every runner is starting off in Starman. Basically, I think no matter what route you do, potentially this is different for errorless, which Chrissy has actually been doing a lot of. Potentially it's different, but I imagine it would still be the same. We always start out with Starman, and then progress in boss weakness order. And we're pausing here just to sync up timers, so no stream issues on Terex's side. We start with Starman and proceed in boss weakness order, basically because Starman stage really doesn't benefit too much with the use of other weapons in general. And then the actual boss weakness, which is Wave, you can only fire it when it's on the ground, and as you'll see in the Starman fight, he's rarely on the ground. So it's probably faster using Buster than his actual weakness. So that's why we start with Starman, and also we unlock the super arrow, which, true to its name, is very super. It's an amazing weapon, and we'll see it a lot in the whole run. But so Starman, pretty simple fight in theory. You basically just hit him with fully charged busters, which deal 3 damage each. Bosses have 28 health, So if you hit him with 3 charge busters, that's 27 damage, and then at some point you're going to want to hit him with a knock charge buster to finish him off. So that was Terrex entered the fight a little earlier, but I guess Chrissy executed the fight a little better, and we have very good sync. And this is okay. So Chrissy got a trick called Grav Skip, and so you see they're basically synced, and now Chrissy is about 1.5 seconds ahead. Basically, in Starman, the gimmick is that you're in space, so you're affected by a lower gravity, and you can see that throughout the whole stage. You jump and you fall a lot slower than normal. But in the end, if you basically the runners mash A and try to delay the fanfare, and if you do that, you basically are affected by faster gravity, normal gravity, like you see in every other stage. And so it takes about 1.5 seconds, and that gave Chrissy the lead. So into Gravity Man, you already saw Super Arrow a little bit, but we'll be seeing it more in this stage, and again throughout the rest of the game. And in this screen right here. So I guess just real quick, the gimmick in Gravity Wow, because Terrex is kind of low on health here, but there's a health here, so we'll be fine. The gimmick in Gravity is there's these little, I don't know, things on the wall which indicate that it's flipping gravity, and you go from basically being on the ground and being on the ceiling. And once you're, used to running the game, it doesn't really affect you too much. The one thing to note is that when you're on a ceiling, normally to slide you hold down and hit A, but when you're on the ceiling you have to hit up, because that's into the ground, or into essentially your ground at that point. So Gravity Man, this is basically a scripted fight, or it's been a scripted fight for a very long time. Chrissy actually missed a hit there, so Terrex caught up a bit with the fight. There is a harder strat called Half Toss, which these runners aren't going for. It's a very difficult strat, and saves about, I think that saves also 1.5 seconds, actually. But yeah, so it's Gravity Man does the exact same thing every time. The only difference is where he shoots his shots, and that's just based on where you are. But no RNG for that boss. So yeah, Gyro Man, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Super Arrow. So I guess to go further into that, Super Arrow costs 2 ammo to use. Every time you fire it, it uses 2 ammo. So this is an interesting, a safety strat coming from Chrissy. It's a little slower, but safer as well. So Super Arrow consumes 2 ammo every time you shoot it, but you only actually need 1 ammo to use it. And so because of that, a lot of times runners will be trying to leave screens with 1 ammo left for Super Arrow, just because that's all you need, really, to fire an additional arrow. And to do so, you saw both runners do it. There's a technique called arrow bumping, which basically, this is the scariest letter to collect. Terrex got it. They both got it fine. Nice. K for kill. Very scary letter, because you have to, if you wait too long to jump, you die. And if you jump too soon, you don't collect it, and then you have to try again. But luckily, that room is the checkpoint room, so if you do die, it's not too bad. There's not too much of a time loss. But yeah, so arrow bumping, the Super Arrow travels much faster than Mega Man does. And so what you can do is, if you walk off the front of the arrow moves so fast it pushes you back onto it. And Super Arrow only actually consumes ammo when you're actually standing on it. So by doing this, you fall off and get pushed back on, but the time you're falling off doesn't actually consume ammo. So by doing this, it essentially allows you to extend, to save Super Arrow ammo for future screens. Really cool. You'll be seeing that a lot throughout the run. This run is big on Super Arrow ammo management. So yeah, Gyro, I mean, there's not really much to say. You just kill him with Gravity Hold, which is a very strong weapon. switch back to Terrex's audio. Gravity Hold is a very strong weapon. It hits the entire screen, and it's Starman's weakness. So as long as he's on the screen, which he always is, even though when he's in the cloud you can't see him. As long as you don't hit his iframes, all you have to do is press the B button 7 times and he's dead. There is some RNG there. Oh boy. This is very scary for Terrex. Yeah. So, unfortunately, he fell off of the arrow. And that screen is very scary. If you have the arrow, it's fine. If you set it up immediately and just ride it, it's fine. The crystals will never hit you. But if you fall off like he did, that's when it gets scary. And now he's going to use the safety Star Crush, or Star Crash. I forget which actually. But the crystals are random when they drop, and so it's when you're actually relying on, or when you're actually trying to jump across, like you saw happen to him. The crystal dropped when he was trying to jump and he got knocked into the pit. But luckily there is a safety strat which he did on the second try, which was basically Star. It's a shield that surrounds you, and it'll basically absorb a hit, and those crystals count as a hit. So it's completely safe if you use Star, because it'll absorb the crystals. So Crystal Man, that was a good secondary attempt by Terrex, and I think a good stage by Chrissy. So the Crystal Man fight, essentially he always starts out the same, which is jump and shoot 4 crystals in all diagonals. And then he can either jump and then stop and shoot, or just keep jumping. And I don't think there's really much of a difference except for like reaction time between the different patterns. One thing to note is in this game, the boss fanfare will always start some number of frames after the boss dies, unlike Mega Man 3. So you don't have to wait for the boss sprites to disappear, or the boss death explosion sprites to disappear before the game will progress. So you actually want to kill the bosses in the corner, ideally, to cut down on lag, because the corner sprites will disappear faster. So ideally you want to kill bosses in the corner, but for them, and runners will ideally try to do that in the castle fights, but usually for Robot Master fights it's kind of just up to whatever the bosses want to do. So Napalm Man, as you see Terrex in this, oh man, I was hoping it wouldn't come into play, but so that drill hallway, those drills are one-hit kill. As you saw, he probably had a lot of life, but as soon as it touches you, you die. So it can be a very scary screen if you do it with Buster. I think Chrissy, I didn't. Oh god, yeah. Unfortunately, another death there. They do have iframes. All enemies in this game have iframes. I think there are 8 frames. So, and those guys take 3 hits. So, if you don't have their iframes down, it can be very scary. There are other strats you could use, like they die. It's a one-hit kill with Crystal Eye, so you can swap to Crystal early if you want. But yeah, unfortunate deaths for Terrex there. But Chrissy is through. Napalm's kind of weird in that for some reason he only takes 3 damage from his weakness instead of 4, like the other bosses. But it really just equates to a little longer fight. But his Napalm Man also, there's no RNG with his fight. It's all position based. If you're close enough to him, he'll shoot he'll shoot napalm up into the air, which is what you don't want because it causes a lot of lag. If you're far enough away, he'll just shoot 3 missiles, which keep him stationary and does not create much lag. So ideally, you want to be far enough away so that he shoots the 3 missiles. And we just got a raid from SpeedGaming. Thank you for the raid, guys. We're doing the Mega Man 5 tournaments right now. So Chrissy is exclamation mark MM5 if you want to learn more about the tournament. So Chrissy's onto Stone Man. In my opinion, this is the hardest, one of the hardest Robot Master stages to do well. There's so many ways to lose time, like so many small ways to lose time. There are obviously big ways, like there are a few pits that you can fall into and die if you run out of arrow and don't have enough arrow ammo. In the next screen in particular, you can lose a lot of time. But there's a lot of small ways. Death by a thousand cuts really is the theme of this stage. Very difficult to do well. But I think this is the first time you saw Terrex, the land Mets, where if you kill them, they split up into 3 miniature Mets. So there's a few ways to do that screen. Chrissy unfortunately summoned Rush a little too high. It is possible to summon him high enough that you can't actually jump onto him. And you saw that there. You can either pause again to despawn him and summon him again, or in that screen it's not too bad. You can just take the platforms like normal. And you saw Chrissy just get through that last screen with gravity, no problem. Gravity is, like I said before, it's a very strong weapon. You can also do that screen with napalm. It is harder, but it is a little faster. Pretty good. I think that was like decent luck by Chrissy. I think he did one high jump. Stoneman can either do a high jump or a normal jump, I guess. The high jump is what you don't want to see because after he lands, I guess the force of his landing kind of crushes him in the smaller rocks, and he's invulnerable when he is in the pile of rocks. So versus like if he does medium jumps, you can hit him basically every time he jumps, and he's vulnerable the entire time. So there is some amount of RNG for Stone Man. Nothing you can do about it though. Normally. Oh, interesting. That must be a backup strat or a safety strat Chrissy did, where he fired the 2. Ooh, nice, pretty. I think they both got the same pattern with the initial high jump and then another high jump later. Yeah, I think that was a safety strat by Chrissy. Normally you would do an arrow in the previous screen and shoot just 1 arrow on that long screen, but he ended up shooting 2, which is probably safer height-wise, but you also saw, because there are 2 arrows on the screen the entire time, there's a lot of lag. Probably, I assume Terrex will do the other strat, but I guess we'll see. And then you can see if, if he does do the other strat, you'll notice a lot less lag. Pretty good chicken room by Chrissy. I think he's trying to do the glitch here. Yeah, okay. So a little glitch show off by Chrissy there. This is actually slower to do this. So what essentially happens is you create so much lag, or you have so many sprites on screen from the explosions that the screen transition trigger doesn't spawn, I think is what happens. And so you get, instead of like the screen transition you're supposed to get, you get a quote-unquote normal screen transition, which just, scrolls the screen like normal. And you end up on the other side, or you end up in the ceiling. But yeah, it's a little slower just because you have to create so much lag. Or there is so much lag because of all the sprites. And then also, the boss doesn't actually spawn until you touch the ground. So since you have to fall into the ground anyway, the spawn, the boss takes a little longer to spawn. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. You almost never see people do that just because it's slower. But fun thing to showcase at Chrissy. So I guess Charge Man, I was talking about that glitch the whole time. Charge Man, you have to use Power Stone, which people will say is the worst weapon. You see Terrex pausing a lot, and that's because when there's still a Power Stone on screen, you can't actually fire another one. Oh, and another fun safety strat for Chrissy here with Jet. He said he might do that because it moves slower, so it's easier to hit the screen transition. But because you can't fire another Power Stone when there's still one on screen, usually what you do is you would just pause to despawn the Power Stone, and so then you can fire it again. And there is a little harder strat where you fire the stones such that you don't have to pause, but it is very difficult. So the safe way is just always you hit them, pause, wait for iframes to run out, hit them again, so on and so forth, rinse, repeat. So Wave Man, you see Chrissy riding the boat. We'll see if Terrex tries to skip the boat. And Chrissy tried to do bubble skip with Jet, and Terrex is using Super Arrow here, so a slight difference there. Oh no, I think he was trying to walk off to get... There's a large bubble that spawns beneath that arrow. I think he was either trying to walk onto the big bubble. I don't think it despawned yet. But so yeah, that was bubble skip by Terrex, essentially. Oh, and boat skip. So here's a slight difference again. Terrex skipped the cutscene transition that forces you to walk into the boat. It's about 3 seconds faster, but you also run the risk of soft locking, so it's kind of scary. So actually, Terrex has caught up quite a bit because of bubble skip. Or actually, he fell, so maybe he didn't, actually. But so bubble skip, I guess, to talk about it, you're meant to transition the screen on the big bubbles, like you saw both of them do on the first screen. But if you land on the small bubble, because the small bubbles pop after you're on them for 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds or something. But if you land on it at the right time, or let it push you up, you can screen transition on the small bubbles and not have to wait for the big bubbles. And if you do it first try, I think it saves about 13 or 14 seconds. Terrex did fall though, so I'm not totally sure how much time he saved, but he definitely did save time. So 20:02 for Chrissy. 8 robos. I think that's pretty good actually for his PB. It's a pretty good pace going in the castle stages. But yeah, so I'm not sure how much time Terrex saved, but he definitely did pick up some time. And we'll see how far behind he is. Chrissy teleported on 20:02. But so the castle stages in Mega Man 5 are quite difficult. There's a lot of ways to die, a lot of difficult strats. This screen right here, first screen of Dark 1, is my favorite speedrunning screen ever. So 56, so Chrissy is 54 seconds ahead of Terrex going into castles. Best screen in speedrunning, hands down. You can practice it for hours on end until your hands die. But yeah, so going in the castles, of course, for 8 robos, your ammo always refills when you finish the stage. But starting with castles, your ammo does not refill in between stages. So things like super arrow ammo management become a lot more important, just because it's so useful. You saw a lot in a horizontal movement, but also vertical movement as well. because you can just jump, place a super arrow, jump off of it, and you can climb very quickly using them. So you're going to be seeing a lot of super arrow, and so there's a lot of strats. And so so arrow bumping is really important now for just conserving that ammo so you can use it later. And then they picked up an M tank and crystal, which refills all the ammo as well, and you'll be using that later to refill super arrow ammo. So nice and easy fight by Chrissy. That guy is weak to water wave, and water is useful in this screen because the boss is always on the ground. Yeah, so the safe way is basically you just kind of wait for him to start moving and hit him with the water wave, and that'll always make him stop. The second half is a little harder because he moves faster, but again, if you just wait for him to, like once he starts moving, if you hit him, he'll stop, and so that's just the safe way to do that fight. But yeah, good stages, I think. Sorry, I'm having trouble like focusing on the individual screens and everything for both at once, but so. This boss fight is actually one of the first ones. Well, I guess wave also, but the slightly more advanced strat is essentially to try to lead him in the corner and kill him in the corner to minimize lag. So the safe strat that both of them did. Well, Chrissy actually had killed him a little more in the corner than Terrex did, but the one where Terrex killed him essentially is very safe, but you kill him in the middle. And again, the death sprites cause a lot of lag, so it's actually like half a second faster just on the death sprites despawning for killing him in the center versus the corner, that is. So Dark 2, you saw Chrissy get through the conveyor belt screen, and Terrex is going to get to it soon. It can be kind of scary, especially if you're missing health. Because when you kill the enemies, they can drop health, and so if you're missing health, and then you pick up the health, it can eat your jump inputs and slide inputs, so it can be a scary screen. But both of them are through that screen. Chrissy's into the fight, so this is the first time we see Beat. Beat is the reward for collecting all 8 letters in the Robot Masters. And so essentially how he works is when you are completely stationary, when you have no horizontal or vertical velocity, and there's an enemy on screen, he will... Oh god, that was really scary for Terrex, but he survived. He will go to attack, he'll move to attack an enemy. And when he hits the enemy, he consumes ammo. It's always 2 ammo that's consumed. And that'll be important when it comes to Wiley Capsule, I'm sorry, fight, because it consumes 2 ammo, and he also deals 2 damage. But for these other fights, he deals more damage. I think it's 4. So yeah, a lot of beat handling is when he returns to you. I'm sorry, my internet kind of went crazy. When he returns to you, you want to make sure you're not moving at all, so that way he can attack again. And there could be several ways to do it. You're just stationary on the ground, or for press, or actually in that fight as well. They can, like if you jump, and if you're at the peak of your jump, since you're at the peak, nice new coil by Chrissy. Rush coil is very interesting in this game. But if you're because you're at the peak of your jump, you have 0 vertical velocity, right? So as long as you're not moving left or right, then he can also attack. So Dark 3, very scary stage. Quickly, we call it the Widowmaker, just because this screen that Terrex is in can be very scary. Just placing your arrow height correctly. And then the checkpoint screen, which Chrissy got through fine, and Terrex is coming up to, has a couple of semi-precise jumps, arrow placements. So these 2 arrows, I think you have like a 3 or 4 pixel window for those, or for the top one, that is. but like there's lots of ways to die, and if you die, like you saw Terrex using his M tank there to refill all its ammo. So if you die, you don't have that anymore, and you don't have, or you probably won't. You may or may not have any super arrow ammo, and then you have to do everything with rush, which is way slower. So if you die, obviously there's a death, but then also you lose a lot of time just because you have to do much slower strats. But yeah, very, very scary screen. Very, very, very scary stage, but both runners are through it just fine. Well, I guess speaking a little too soon for Terrex, but at this point, he's probably fine. The boss, so you see him, he's just shooting these 3 rings. Those rings, if they hit you, they will stun you or they freeze you. But like, as long as you are close enough and dealing damage to him, he'll always just shoot those. And so you kind of bait him. You saw both runners did it. You bait him into shooting them up just by jumping right before he shoots, and then you just keep hitting him with gyro. So, Dark 4, this tower that Terrex is on right now, as you see on Chrissy's screen, the revelation that it wasn't actually Proto Man at all, but another machine. Shocking. So the tower is very difficult because you have to destroy the blocks, and when you destroy the bottom block, the tower falls. But while the tower is falling, the kind of scary by Chrissy, but he got through fine. While the tower is falling, you can't actually shoot the blocks, so it's very difficult to do quickly, just because you can only hit the blocks when the tower is not falling. Very finicky. So this fight can be very scary. Essentially, you're just trying to do a DPS race. You just damage boost, and so this is the cutscene where it's faster to do on Japanese version because it's the text scrolling. You basically just tank every one of his hits for the most part, and just let Beat attack over and over again, and you're just trying to kill him faster than he can kill you, which normally you can do, but if you're a little too close, or if you miss like 1 or 2 shots, then it gets really scary, and then you're just trying to dodge. You're constantly dodging, and because you're dodging, again, Beat only goes to attack when you're stationary. 39 was when Chrissy touched the ground, so we can get a comparison here. So once you start dodging, it's very difficult because you're really just trying not to die, and so Beat just basically never attacks. Usually, if you're too focused on not dying. So Terrex is touched down at 02, so there's a 23-second difference now between the 2 runners. So Terrex has caught up a bit. So there's 4 more stages for him to make up the other 23 seconds or so. Any matches? Well, this is the first of a best of 3. So we're definitely getting another race between these 2, and then potentially, depending on how that one goes and how this one goes, there could be a third. So, yeah, Wiley stages. Chrissy is now getting into the Crusher section. I'm sorry, my internet was going crazy again. I don't really know what's going on. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I think I'm... Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. So Chrissy's now into Wiley through the press. Press fight. So this fight is a huge RNG factor. He can either oscillate 3, 5, or 7 times. And so let's see if Terrex got the refi skip first try. I obviously didn't see how well Chrissy did, but yeah. So the fight itself, let's see, teleport at 47 for Chrissy. So the fight itself, he oscillates 3, 5, or 7 times, and based on like how many times he oscillates can hugely determine how long the fight takes. What you can do, so Terrex is doing what's called double hits, where essentially when you count, because you know he's either going to do 3, 5, or 7. I already forgot when Chrissy teleported out, so I'm not sure what the difference is. Once he basically passes 5, then you know he's going to stop on a 7. So you can pause, switch to super arrow, and get 2 hits on that cycle. 47? Okay. I knew it was a 7, but I didn't remember which kind of 7. So yeah, you can get doubles, which Terrex did, but Chrissy did not, I believe. So now we're on to the Wiley Capsule fight for Chrissy, and this is the whole reason why, or basically the whole reason why we got beat. So Wiley Capsule can spawn in a variety of different locations, and your only other like really viable option for this fight is to use is what B-List does, which is they use charge busters. Terrex is a little... Okay, he's going to E-Tank, yeah. I think one more body hit would have killed him, so good call there. Depending on where he spawns, I think a little over half of the spawns you cannot hit with Buster. So it's a very volatile fight. But with Beat, you know, he can hit every spawn, so GG for Chrissy. 37.59 for him. Let's see. And GG for Terrex. So it ended up being 14 seconds. They're both done. Oops. I didn't realize it automatically did the score. My bad. Yeah, so that's a really close race. Chrissy won by 14 seconds with a couple of deaths. And Terrex had a couple of deaths, so without those deaths, who knows? And of course, this is best of 3, so we'll get at least one more race, and then we can see how it goes. But yeah, so the Wiley Capsule fight. Again, the reason we use the reason we use Beats is because he can hit any spawn. Ideally, you hit him twice every time he appears. And so that's 4 damage each time, because Beat does, again, 2 damage each hit and uses 2 ammo per hit. So what that means, with some quick math, 2 is the same as 2, so you have perfect ammo going into that fight. And, you know, usually that might not be an issue, but depending on how well your positioning for each spawn location, Beat doesn't mind attacking, or Beat doesn't mind going to attack an enemy that's still in iframes. He doesn't really care about that. All he really cares about is, you know, death and murder, I guess. So if Beat attacks while Wiley Capsule's in iframes, he can. It's a really strange timing. I'm not sure exactly when when he'll consume ammo and when he won't. But if he hits an iframes, sometimes he will not consume ammo, because, you know, he doesn't deal damage when the enemy's in iframes, of course. Most of the time he won't consume ammo, but sometimes he does still consume ammo. And so he'll consume 2 ammo but not deal any damage, which is the big issue, because again, it's perfect ammo for the whole fight. So in that case, at that time, you have to swap to another weapon to finish him off. Either depending on the spawn, you could use Charge Buster if you want. Charge Buster, of course, does 3 damage, like for every other enemy. Or I think his only other weakness is Gyro, which you can angle up, or not angle up. You can maneuver to go up or down based on where he is, but that only does 1 damage each hit. So depending on how much damage you still have to do, if it's only 2 more hits or 2 more damage, Gyro is not too bad. But also, of course, depends on where he spawns. If he spawns too high for Buster to hit, then you have to use Gyro to finish him off. But yeah, that didn't happen to either of these runners. Beat was cooperative. So yeah, I guess for Chrissy's not doing swag shots. So let's see. Chrissy had a 37.0. OX, I think, and his PB is a 36:44, I think. Let me pull it up again. So that was pretty good. I think only about 20-ish seconds off of his PB. And Terrex again is for anyone who joined after I did the intro. These guys are very well matched, very evenly matched. Their PBs are only 4 seconds apart. Terrex has a 36:50, and Chrissy has a 36:54. So Chrissy, I think, was within 10 seconds or so of his PB. Really impressive in a live tournament run. Yeah. So yeah, I guess let's discuss beatless, which we won't be seeing this race, so it's kind of unnecessary. But for beatless, of course, you don't have beat for the final fight. So the capsule fight, you're essentially hoping to hit him with 2 charge busters every spawn. So beats, the best you can do is 2 hits a spawn. Each hit does 2 damage, but for beatless, each charge buster does 3 damage. So essentially, you're doing 6 damage each spawn. And so 6 damage each spawn. You only need 5 spawns to deal 28 damage, versus 7 spawns for beatless. So that's where that's not where all the time save is for beatless, but that's another place where you can save time with beatless over beat. But again, the problem with that is that a little over half of the spawns you cannot hit him with charge buster because he's too high. So it's a little risky. The world record run right now, which is held by Becco, 32:47, does use beatless. It's so going into I think optimally again. So these times are when from like an initial investigation, and I don't know if it's different based on different strats and everything. But beatless, optimally, give or take, is about 22 seconds faster than beat. A lot of that comes is from Crystal stage, because you essentially skip Crystal Man stage. 22 seconds faster, and each Wiley spawn takes about 7 seconds. So what that means is if you do beatless, and sorry, you guys didn't have audio this whole time, I think, because I messed up marking people's done game audio. So what that means is if you do beatless and have 3 extra spawns, 3 spawns where you cannot hit them, then it's roughly the same as beat at that point. But there are strats you can do to mitigate that. Like you can use gravity, and if you use gravity right when he disappears, the game actually doesn't hide, or like Wiley's sprite is there, and that's why beat can track him. But it's just the same color as the background, I think. So if you use gravity, it turns the background white, and so then you can see where he is, and you can react accordingly for beatless. But yeah, so into race number 2. Again, Chrissy has a 1-game lead over Terrex. So you can see, I didn't point it out before until after, but the slower gravity throughout the whole stage. And we'll see if the runners can get Grav Skip this time. Chrissy got it the first game. Terrex did not get it. And so I mentioned that to get Grav Skip, you basically try to mash A when the fanfare is about to start. And if you delay the fanfare, essentially, is when you get Grav Skip. But that's not necessarily always the case, because there is also, I believe, 1 in every 3 frames just gives you Grav Skip. So you can, so generally like you mash A, but if you don't get it, if you don't get Grav Skip by delaying the fanfare like that, you could just 33% chance get lucky. And as they say, better to be lucky than good. But of course, you know, you want to mash A to try to do it, and then to, you know, to maximize your chances. So yeah, one charge shot. Oh, okay. So neither runner. Normally, you do a charge shot, and then since you don't have enough time to fully charge, by the time his iframes run out initially, you just hit him with a lemon, and then start charging again. It's kind of a CFO strat for this game. Okay, so Terrex got Grav Skip, and this time Chrissy did not. And you can see again the it's about 3-second difference right now. You can see the difference in falling speed. So of that 3 seconds, 1.5 was Terrex getting Grav Skip and Chrissy didn't. So now both runners have gotten Grav Skip once each. So I guess just based on the times, ending times, and number of deaths, Terrex is playing a little better just in terms of movement and everything, which makes sense because, well, I mean, he's a better PB, but it's like, you know, 4 seconds. But I think Terrex has been playing this game more recently. He's been doing runs, definitely. And Chrissy, I think, hasn't been doing as many, and when he does, he's been doing a lot of errorless, which, of course, you see he's using error right now. So slightly different strats and everything that Chrissy's been using. So yeah, just a little. I think Terrex's movement and everything is a little cleaner, and he's going for more difficult strats as well. Like he went for the normal bubble skip, he did boat skip, and he was doing double hits on Wiley press. So it's a little difference in strats as well. So yeah, I mentioned before. Oh. Terrex missed a hit there, so if Chrissy got it, so Chrissy oh wait, no, that you can't get that one. So Chrissy saved a little bit of time on the boss fight, just because Terrex needed to get an extra hit. But so yeah, this fight's, let's see, 05, 08, so it's still 3 seconds. I think Terrex's stage was a little better, but Chrissy's fight was better. But yeah, that fight, as long as you don't miss the hit that Terrex missed, it's basically the same every time. Unless you try to go for half tasks where you get an extra hit. But that's quite difficult to do. It's called half tasks because task gets 2 extra hits. But we only go for the 1. So you see a little difference here. Terrex fired his arrows in the elevator. And Chrissy is waiting a little later to make it easier and to guarantee that he has enough ammo. So Chrissy had to deal with a little more lag because his arrows were on screen, versus Terrex's, since he fired the 2 initial arrows in the previous screen. Of course, they didn't persist to the new screen. So a little less lag there for Terrex, but a little, again, safer for Chrissy. Again, so this letter, K for kill, Terrex gets it. Chrissy gets it as well. It's good. No deaths over the K letter yet. Hopefully not at all. I guess we can talk about sliding a bit in this game. Kind of bring it up because this stage, so normally in in MM5 when you slide, and you slide again and you hit A again. As long as you're still holding down, you don't jump out of your slide. Like you can, if you're holding down, you can mash A as much as you want, and you will never jump out of your slide. So, but you can jump out of your slide if you let go of down. The only exception here is if there's, I think, a foreground object on the same pixel as you. So this comes into play for this stage because, well, ladders are considered foreground objects, or I think they're foreground objects. So you cannot jump out of a slide if you're on the same vertical pixel as a ladder. But also those clouds in Gyro Man stage also count. So if you're playing this game and you try to jump out of a slide in Gyro and you're not allowed to, it's probably because of the cloud. And I wasn't, because my internet went crazy. I had to restart my computer. So I didn't actually see Wiley 2, but Wiley 2 has the underwater section, and water also has the same effect, so you cannot jump out of slides underwater in this game. So you saw Chrissy fell off the arrow in that third screen of the stage, the dropper screen. So that's where Terrex also fell in the first game. But backup arrow was a little low, actually, so he hit the platform and had to walk the rest. But Chrissy placed his backup arrow fine, and he got through okay. So no death there for him. So yeah, that M tank that both players got, they use it in Dark 3. Just to touch on Beatless again, even though neither of them are running it. Beatless actually skips this entire stage. All you play is the first screen. You die, it basically respawns you in the boss corridor, saving a lot of time. But it does mean that you skip that M tank. And so that means that for when you do Beatless, you have a little different strats. Or you have different strats because you have different amounts of ammo. And the reason why you can only do that on Beatless is you skip the letter, because you skip the stage, of course. So I think it's about a 14-second difference now in favor of Terrex. So, but this is the stage I gave him some trouble, since Terrex did die twice in the drill hallway. So we'll see if he takes a little safer maybe, or if he just does what he always does and what he did last game, I guess. These scary drills that are a one-hit kill. Yeah, he should be fine. Got through fine this time. We'll see how Chrissy does. See if Chrissy... I didn't... Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if he did... Sometimes Chrissy does switches to Crystal, because Crystal does one-shot these guys instead of 3 lemons. Ooh. A little rough of a waterfall screen for Terrex. This screen can be tricky because you place the first arrow kind of high enough that the second arrow that Chrissy got well is high enough that it doesn't hit the guys on the ground. Oh, different in strats here too that I did not notice last time is that Terrex is doing the early crystal strat versus Chrissy is doing the gravity strat. So the early crystal strat is harder that Terrex is doing. I believe it's about like 1.5 seconds faster. It's basically because it cuts out a menu, and that's basically the amount of time that it would save. The only one other difference is it is harder to do. It is harder to execute and you have to do a little like some lag conservation. And one other thing, one reason that gravity is such a good weapon, and for these other strats it's very consistent, is because when gravity kills an enemy, the enemy just disappears off screen. They don't actually die in the normal fashion, so that means they'll never ever give you drops. Versus early crystal that Terrex did, and then this screen at the end you can do early napalm. When you kill enemies, they can give you drops, so those strats are all harder to execute. Plus, there's also the additional RNG factor of like, are you going to get a health drop or an ammo drop? That wastes additional time filling up. And each tick in this game of health or ammo that you refill is 4 frames. So that means small refills are 8 frames, and big refills I think is 8 ammo. So 32 frames. Hopefully that's all correct and I didn't just lie to everyone. So Terrex right now, he killed Squeaks. That mouse, we call him Squeaks. Kind of hard to kill actually, because it's very easy to shoot the arrow too soon and it just hits the wall. Or if you shoot it too high, that's even worse, because it like just it gives him a haircut basically. And Krister gets the kill too, nice. It doesn't kill him, plus it stays on screen, so you get the additional lag of an extra spread on screen. But both players got the Squeaks kill. So yeah, you saw, I guess, Krister, and you saw Terrex earlier, just fly across that screen. That's the checkpoint room. Fly across the checkpoint room with 3 arrows, and this is again why super arrow in this game saves so much time. You can just completely bypass entire screens. It's very quick movement speed as well. So it's a very amazing weapon, and it's a weakness. I didn't mention that. Wiley Machine, the boss right before Wiley Capsule, is weak to super arrow. So it does everything. 43. So yeah, Terrex is basically a whole boss ahead. He teleported essentially right when Krister entered the fight. About a 23-second or so difference right now. So you saw Terrex, and I assume Krister as well. You saw Terrex shoot 3 napalm shots at the end of Stone. And there's a reason for that. It's not just to have fun, although having fun is a good reason as well. But there is a glitch in this game where if you... I don't want to get too technical, but there's a glitch where a certain RAM value can get set, essentially resulting in not being able to arrow bump, which I mentioned earlier. It's where you walk off the arrow and it pushes you back on and it conserves energy. So that can happen during Stone Man, and so firing those 3 napalms at the end like Terrex did basically will fix that, and you won't have to deal with that. And this is also why in this game, Krister having a little trouble getting the letter in the screen. Opting to go for rush coil in the end, just to guarantee. But yeah, so whenever you speedrun this game, you usually want to reset the game before you start, because if you let the cutscene play out, and you get to the part where Proto Man grabs Dr. Light, it does the same thing. It also sets a RAM value and prevents you from being able to arrow bump. So you always want to reset the game before you start attempts because of that. So no swag strats from Chrissy there. Last run he showcased off the screen transition glitch at the end of the Charge Man, where you basically transition into the ceiling, but it does lose time, so he did not do that this time. But yeah, Charge Man, very difficult fight to do well, just because of because of how difficult Power Stone can be. He also has two different patterns, essentially, happy charge and angry charge, where he either will charge at you, he'll shoot coal. Oh, I'm sorry. He'll either shoot coal or he'll charge at you. And there is different. You usually want him to shoot coal. A little easier to handle. So Terrex going for Bubble Skip again. Unfortunately, fell in the second screen again, but he got the backup again. So pretty good. Still saves time, I believe, over not doing Bubble Skip at all. Or does it? Depending on when you fall. I think if you fall at the very top, then you lose 14 seconds. So I guess you must lose time no matter what if you fall. Ooh. So Chrissy there, you saw he fell, and that's because he landed on the little bubble a little too soon. So one of the reasons why it's such a hard trick is because you have to land on the small bubble, like basically right before it transitions the screen, right before it hits the screen transition. Alternately, you can shoot an arrow and stand on the arrow, which is what Terrex did in his backup. And if the arrow has a good height, the bubble will just rise up and push you off the arrow into the screen transition. So it's a little safer to do it that way, assuming your arrow height placement is good. So 2 for 2 with the backups for Terrex, which is quite difficult actually. You see a lot of runners have trouble with that, myself included, because I mean you can get a setup, which it looks like Terrex has for the backup as well. Everyone has a setup for the initial one, but a lot of times, runners, when you're doing PB attempts, if you fall on Bubble Skip, people usually reset, and so you don't really get a ton of practice doing the backup. So 2 for 2 is quite impressive. So we're through 8 robos for Terrex, with a teleport time of 1927, which was about 40 seconds faster, I think, than Chrissy's 8 robo time last time. And I think based on when Terrex's timer turned red, it's about 10 or 15 seconds slower than his PB, it looks like. Which again, pretty good, especially since he fell doing Bubble Skip. So we'll see how Castles treats him. So Wave Man, I didn't talk about him at all. So Charge Kick, which is Wave Man's weakness, it lets you slide through like almost everything. Some exceptions being the Spinies earlier in this stage, and that you see on Terrex's screen right now, and Wave Man's water jets. And there's a reason for that. Someone, I think Brett, mentioned why in another race. I don't actually know why. Certain sprites are not slide throughable with Charge Kick. But yeah, basically, Charge Kick replaces your slide. And so you use it by sliding. And so for Wave Man boss fight, you just kind of keep sliding through him. Not too much going on. If you do have to do that Buster only, it's quite simple. All you have to do is never slide. Because his water jets, if you just walk, his water jets will always miss you, basically. It's really only when you slide that it has potential to hit you. Which, of course, you have to slide using his weakness, so... Ooh, a little some hiccups for Terrex, but he should be fine. Yeah, he entered that fight with enough health. If that fight gets away with you, it can actually be really hard to get it back on track. Just because, you know, it's fairly straightforward, and so you don't usually have to recover. Plus, you know, when he is at half health, he moves a lot faster. So, you know, you're trying to get far enough away to fire your water wave, but like because he goes so fast, he moves faster than you do. In the second half, so it can be very difficult. Than you walk. I think you slide faster. So it can be very difficult to get enough space in between you to turn around and fire. So it can definitely be a tricky fight to recover from. But nice and easy for Krissy. I'm not sure what Terrex's time was coming out of that stage, so can't give a good comparison. This screen that Terrex is going into right now, the dropper screen, can be very hard to do well. These droppers will start dropping either... Ooh. Oh yeah, I remember he had trouble with that screen last time also, and almost got sniped off the ladder, but he didn't. Luckily, that is a checkpoint room, so it's not too bad if you die. But of course, best not to die at all. So those droppers, and actually the tigers as well, they will attack you. They will activate, so the tigers will jump and the droppers will drop. If you get close enough, but also if you hit the letter, or if you press the B button and they're on screen, then it'll cause both of them to do the same thing as if you got close enough. So some of these screens, runners are, neither of them have input display on, but you know, like when you're sliding, you can hit B, or when you're to trigger them sooner rather than later. Like for these guys, you can fire your buster and then your charge buster, and then mash B to make them all drop into it, basically. But it's a very difficult screen to do well. Terrex, I didn't see if his timer turned red. He was like 10-ish seconds behind going into castles, so after 8 robos. But I think with he had like a 17-ish, I guess, 8 robos, and with his PB, I think he should definitely be able to save time in these robos, or sorry, in these castles. I'll admit I was kind of scared for Terrex's arrows there. Getting over the Met Cannon guy, he'll trigger if you're too low. But there's also a pixel where he may trigger or he may not trigger, and I believe that was that pixel. It looked kind of low. So I didn't really, I couldn't tell though, because I didn't see. Like I have a visual key for it. I didn't see at that point, so I'm not too sure. But it looked kind of on the border there. And this arrow, essentially it's an A plus B, same as the long checkpoint room arrow. If you just fire the arrow from the ground, uh-oh. Okay, I think he's fine now. That can be scary. Especially like when he freezes you, he always jumps up and then shoots you, and a lot of times he'll miss, and so you just have to wait for him to jump into you. It's such an annoying fight if you get frozen. So Chrissy did the 1 arrow backup there actually for that screen. Normally you fire the 2 arrows and jump onto the second one, but there he only used the 1. I thought he had enough ammo. Maybe he just opted to do that instead of the 2 arrow back, or instead of the 2 arrow strat. Not sure. But yeah, so if you shoot the arrow from the ground, it'll just run into one of those enemies and it'll get eaten and you'll die. And then if it's too high, then you cannot slide under, one of the other guys. So I think that arrow, there's like a 3 pixel window or something. There's a lot of 3 pixel windows for arrows in this game. So we'll see how Beat treats Terex now. So unfortunately, Terex did fire Buster shots at him to get an extra hit because he will have one remaining health at the end. So he tried to deal that 1 health early, but then it resulted in Beats hitting the boss in iframes. So he actually lost damage doing that. But he was fine, didn't die or anything. So we'll see if he's ahead based on if his timer turns red. Although I'm not actually sure when he splits. I think it's there. Yeah, he's on PB pace. His timer never turned red. So a 28:01 capsule close for Terex. I will almost certainly forget that when Chrissy gets there. To try to give a comparison. Chrissy did the same thing. Chrissy also shot the boss and had Beats hit absorbed by iframes. So that, I guess that does work if so the boss can either shoot 3 shots or he can jump. So I guess shooting him works if he jumps, but perhaps not if he stays on the ground and shoots 3 shots. That's funny. I hadn't really seen people do that until today, really. And both runners are doing it, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I missed it. But I think Chrissy was around 28, 29, 1x. So, a little over a minute maybe difference between the two. Which is certainly can still make up. There's definitely plenty of places to die remaining for Terex. So the race is by no means over yet. So yeah, this Crusher screen can be very scary. Terex did squeak through. There were a few sketchy spots. Again, for MM4, if you know that, the Crusher room in Dustman is a joke. You basically can't die. But in this game, the Crusher can very easily catch you and kill you. There is a zip in that screen where I'm not sure about the frame window, but if you hit A within some number of frames of when the Crusher, oh gosh, you should be fine. I think those things deal less than 3 damage. Yeah, okay. Kind of scary, but Terex is through. Chrissy has to use Rush Jet here. That's that's really painful. Like you saw, well, Rush Jet for one moves a lot slower, and then it looked like there was a lot of lag on that screen too. But But yeah, so when the Crusher would push you in the ground, you can push A in some frame window, and it'll instead push you into the ground instead of killing you. And then you can zip to the right. It was actually really cool, but very difficult to do. And if you miss the frame window, you die because, I mean, the Crusher kills you. So no one's doing them in runs yet, but it saves, I think, like 2.5 seconds. But yeah, so you saw there, Terrex turned around to cancel his slide. As I mentioned earlier, the water counts as a foreground object and does not allow you to jump out of your slide. So for this screen, you either want to... So it looked kind of scary for Chrissy there, but he actually was doing his safety strat, I think. Which is like barely slower, but much safer because you take fewer deboosts. But yeah, so for that underwater screen, you either want to only do slides that you know will end before the end of the platform, or there are a few extra slides you can do if you plan on canceling them, which Terrex did. Terrex is an MM6 runner, so these sorts of slide cancels are his bread and butter. So it's no surprise to see him and like pot, RF, resisting frame. It's no surprise to see those runners going for those additional slides where you have to slide cancel. You saw Chrissy just opting to walk on some of the platforms instead, like a sane person. This is the screen that Chrissy is in right now is the checkpoint room. So if you die in that underwater screen, it can be fairly punishing because you have to go back a few screens. So Terrex did have, I think, a pretty good napalm fight in the refights, and then first try refight skip with one arrow. There are different strats. He is hitting some iframes in this fight, but there are different strats you can do. He's doing he's doing the bad up setup this time. I thought he did one arrow last time, but maybe I was mistaken. So that's the very safe setup. The bad up setup, BADDAP. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but essentially you fire the 2 arrows, and it's practically guaranteed. 2 7s, 3 7s for Terrex. Unfortunately, he missed one of the hits, so that turned into a single. Another 7. Oh, okay. And then an ending 5. So that 5 he shouldn't have gotten, in theory, but still on PB pace by about 15 seconds, I think. So Terrex could get a race PB right now, or PB in a race. He does, although, because he did the bad up setup, he and Chrissy's doing the same. And he had 3 doubles. That means he has less ammo for this machine fight. Because if you do the 1 arrow setup, which I don't think he knows, since he swapped the arrow already. Yeah, probably was not aware. So if you do the 1 arrow setup and you get 3 doubles, then you have perfect ammo for the machine fight. So it is a little faster to go into the fight with Buster because you can charge. You're missing 4 damage, so that's 1 charge Buster and 1 lemon. So you can charge prior to the fight. So it is a little faster, but I guess not by too much. So for the capsule fight, again, ideally you get 2 hits per cycle, which he just did. He did only get 1 hit on some of the other ones. ideally, what you want to do is get what's called like a track or a trace, which is essentially like a half hit where Beat goes. Ooh, this is okay. He's gonna eat tank. That's smart. Which essentially is when Beat goes to attack Wiley when Wiley's still on screen, but doesn't reach him. Oh, it's still going to be a PB. 36.27. His PB is a 36.50. So, or that's what it said on the leaderboards anyway. So, if that's true, then 23-second PB. Although his timer did change colors, so I'm not actually sure. Maybe just didn't update the leaderboard. But yeah, I mean, that's 23 seconds faster than his listed time anyway. So GG Terrex. Yeah, ideally, so what Kersey has right now, Beat kind of circles him. Let me mark Terrex's finishing, sorry. So yeah, it's kind of like 2.5 hits. So it's different because Beat will hit Wiley as soon as he spawns, and then what you want to do is kind of jump such that he'll attack 2 more times. And GG for Kersey. I think that was like 20 to 30 seconds slower for Kersey than his previous race. But yeah, we get a game 3. It is kind of unfortunate it doesn't use game audio once everyone's done, but I guess you guys just get to listen to me instead. So yeah, ideally, you kind of get 2.5 hits on Wiley Capsule. He'll hit him immediately. You position yourself such that Beat will attack again and hit him, and then he comes back and you position such that he goes to attack Wiley again. But by that time, Wiley will have disappeared. It's just impossible to get 3 actual hits per spawn, but that at least allows Beat to track him again to, hit him instantly. So ideally, you get 2.5 hits per cycle. There's another strat you can do, which you can see when Brett Suzo does his races, where you so for a long time it was either you start off the fight with a track, or you start off the fight with a hit, and it's binary. Those are the only 2 things you can do. Starting off with a hit means that you don't get the track, so it's a little harder because you don't know where he's going to spawn. So you have to react accordingly when he does spawn to get the hits. But Brett's been going for a 1.5 hit on the opening, which basically it is difficult. You have to position yourself so that Beat will go to attack, and I think you do like a mini jump for Beat to return like immediately and like instantly go to attack again. So with the good timing, you can get 1.5 hits opening, which essentially nets you an extra hit in the beginning, and that cuts out on a potential last hit. It doesn't cut out on a cycle, but it does, probably saves like a second or maybe a little more. So we got game 3. Game 3. So it'll be interesting to see if either runner changes their strats up a bit to be a little safer. It can cut out. Oh, double buster, right? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, okay, that's a very good point. It can save a cycle if the last spawn is low enough for you to hit him with buster. Well, that'll save 7 seconds right there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if either runner plays it a little safer, because this is, winner take all at this point. We're on to a best of 1. See if maybe, so TerreX has fallen on the second screen of Bubble Skip on Waveman. Both times he did get the backup both times, but it'll be, maybe he doesn't go for Bubble Skip at all, or maybe he does a little differently there. Maybe he doesn't go for the boat skip because the boat skip saves 3 seconds. So how boat skip works is basically you slide on the arrows, and you slide on a platform of arrows and slide through the cutscene transition that forces you to get into the boat. And then you jump out of your slide into the screen transition. But if you touch the ground before you screen transition, the game doesn't know what to do, and you soft lock. So at that point, you just have to reset and password back to Wave, which loses more than a minute. Of course, if you recognize that you're not going to make the transition because you jumped too soon or something, then you can turn back and land in the boat. So in theory, if you can identify that you're not going to make it, you can just ride the boat like normal. So like if you choose to go for boat skip and just resolve to, if it looks like I'm going to get close to not making it, just ride the boat, then it doesn't really lose time. It does lose some time because having all 3 arrows on screen does cause lag, but it's not like, a crazy amount of lag. So not too risky. I'm gonna hit next race in the series, I was thinking of doing that to get background music, but who needs background music, right? Yeah, I'll just type that out. All right, yeah, so last race. So we'll see how this goes. The first match, Chrissy won by about 15 seconds or so. Second match, TerreX won by about a minute. First time with a possible PB. Still not sure if it was a PB. And here we go. Winner take all. Let's see the winner of this match. Let me check the brackets. The winner of this match gets to play against Scarf. Scarf was one of the bottom seeds. I think he didn't have a PB before the tournament, which is why. But Baron Haynes, who was the number 1 seed, had to drop out, unfortunately. So Scarf made it on to the next round. So the winner of this race gets to play him. Gets to play them. So someone remind me, because I'll probably forget. I have a really bad memory. Assuming we do post-game interviews to ask Terrex if it was an actual PB. It sure seemed like it. But his timer background did change, it looked like, before he finished. So not totally sure. So yeah, I guess one pretty sure is a PB. Alright, cool. Yeah, I mean, the leaderboard said he had a 3650, so. Starman really wanted Terrex's blood there. Just kept jumping. So, okay, so this time Terrex did not get Grav Skip, but Chrissy did. So this time it was close enough so that it actually did cause a lead change. Terrex, I think, finished the fight faster, but Chrissy got Grav Skip, so he gained that time back. So now Chrissy is ever so slightly ahead. It's fun to see lead change because that really silly trick. If only there was like a way to get it consistent. Sometimes like you can have a day where you get it every time. You could have like a day where you just never get it, and so you're just sitting looking at this slow gravity, watching. I think I said 1.5 seconds before. I think it's more than that actually. Let me swap audio. Oh no, Terrex. That slide that he was doing is actually kind of scary. Because when you land, I was getting extra ammo just for fun. So when you land and you slide, the slide ends right before the end of the platform, and then you have to slide again, very quickly. Because if you walk off that platform, which I suspect Terrex did, you don't have enough, or it's not is it horizontal velocity? It's probably just that you start falling sooner. And so when you walk off that platform, you fall in the spikes and die. So you have to have pretty, fairly quick reaction for your slide chain. Otherwise, you end up falling and dying. So, I guess the theme so far has been, Chrissy's been playing very solid. I don't think he's died yet. And Terrex has had a few deaths sprinkled throughout. A little faster, but with some deaths. So, I guess this last one will probably come down to potentially how many times does Terrex die? And of course, other mistakes as well. That's not the only deciding factor, but oh no. Okay, I'm not gonna mention deaths anymore. I feel like I just cursed him. So that is not fun. He has less ammo, but in reality that just means that so normally you'd use an arrow here to jump up to grab the ammo, but it just means he has to go around. which the death is a bigger issue. This is kind of high, but you can slide under the guys. Yeah, as long as you're aware that it's kind of high, you can just slide under them to get through. Mega Man's sliding hitbox is very, very small. It's smaller than his, or I mean, it certainly seems smaller than his sprite. So a lot of these times when you're on an arrow, and you do it in Dark 3, you slide under an enemy that it looks like you have no right to slide under. Like, you should definitely die, but your hitbox is just so small when you're sliding. So you actually hear Chrissy is being very, very careful in that fight. Because as you see with this ammo bar, this is also perfect ammo. You have just enough ammo to kill Crystal, or kill Gyro Man. So if you shoot into his iframes, then that's very bad. You have to swap to Buster and kill him like that. And then you're at the whim of Gyro Man for, you know, when he wants to come down and whatnot. So Chrissy was taking it very safe, which is perfectly fine. You lose, you know, a handful of frames to make sure you don't lose multiple seconds. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, I think this is what Chrissy... Interesting. I thought Chrissy slid off last time, but it appears to be... I mean, he did it again, so it seems like that's just his strat. Unfortunately, he has... he only had 2 ammo for Super Arrow there, and you need at least 3, because you can fire Super Arrow with one ammo. So he had to take that screen a little slower. He actually waited for Eddie to see if Eddie would give him an ammo drop. Unfortunately, Eddie just gave him an extra life, because this is Mega Man 5. You don't get enough extra lives as it is. So Terrex is gaining a little more time on the screen itself because of... Oh god, that actually happened to Terrex in the first race. He got knocked off of Rush Jet by the crystal, but he reacted in time. The biggest part, which he's done both times, which is amazing, in my opinion. But so of course you slide, right, to get to the ladder fast. But I did mention that you cannot jump out of your slide when you're on the same when you're overlapping a ladder. And a lot of times, Chrissy is kind of low on health here. He's gonna opt to E-Tank, which is probably smart. Yeah, so for that, where Terrex was, that doesn't happen a lot. So a lot of times, you know, you're like, crap, you know, I'm on spikes. If my iframes run out, I'm gonna die. So you're rushing to get to the ladder. You slide, you jump. But if you wait too long to jump, right, your jump doesn't come out because you're on the same space as a ladder, and then you just like stand there and watch as your iframes run out and you die because you expected to have jumped out of your slide. So it's very impressive, in my opinion, that Terrex has had the presence of mind to jump out of his slide early, so that his slide doesn't get eaten by the ladder. That's probably the most impressive part. So very, very well done by Terrex both times. First and third race. So I'm not sure about the lead right now. It's probably around 25 or 30 seconds, but I'll try to keep track of the timer when we come out of this stage, so we can get an accurate comparison. Good waterfall room again by Chrissy. Again, those arrow placements can be tricky for this that other arrow that Terrex just did, but Terrex gets it as well. No issues here. Again, you see that we'll see the strat deviation between the two, with Terex doing early crystal and Chrissy opting to do gravity, which is the easier but slightly slower strat. So Chrissy is firing into his iframes a little and had to cancel or pause to cancel one of his shots. So he died at 11:16. Terex also having some issues, and another consideration. Oh, he will have perfect ammo. So it's about like a 12-second difference, I think. Another thing with doing early crystal is, of course, you're using more crystal throughout the stage. So usually you get to the fight and you have like 1 or 2 extra ammo. So you don't have a whole lot of spare ammo going into the fight if you do early crystal. So it can be kind of scary. If you shoot into his iframes a few too many times, then you might have to swap to Buster. But he didn't. It perfectly calculated. Unfortunately, does get hit by, or Terex does, the first 2 Mets, baby Mets. That is a hard strat. You saw Chrissy just jumped over them. Terex killed the 3. He had perfect ammo last night as well. Nice. Terex opted to kill the land Met and his 3 baby Mets, which is harder, but it is a little faster. If you do it perfectly, of course. So he did take damage, so it was, at that point, I assume, a little slower. But I also think that taking damage costs more time than it actually does in this game, so who knows? Maybe it's actually still, relatively on even footing. Yeah, again, Stone is, in my opinion, one of the hardest stages. Interesting, Chrissy jumped over that last telly. That's kind of scary. Like, I mean, I think he's just nervous, yeah, with that menu. But like, yeah, that was interesting that he jumped over the telly. Yeah, Terex actually killed that Metroid last run as well. I think he's doing a B plus A instead of an A plus B. But yeah, he killed the wrong Metroid and got it fine both times. Worst pattern for Chrissy. Same pattern for both of them. So Chrissy teleports at 17. Terex is teleporting at 21, so a 4-second difference. So Terex has caught up quite a bit. I think it comes down to nerves. Chrissy did have a menu that lasted a little longer than normal, but yeah, I think Chrissy is just a little nervous right now. Thanks for the raid, Finn. So we'll see how this stage goes. I think the fight has been going fine for both runners. They both have just been doing their normal pause strat for the fight, where you just pause to despawn the power stones every time. Oh no. The ricochet usually. Oh, Chrissy did have trouble with getting this letter last run. So he opted to swap to rush after 1 attempt to guarantee. I think last time he tried a few times and had trouble, so just taking it safe there and swapping out early. So with that, Terrex does take the lead, albeit a small one. Well, I'll swap audio accordingly after the fight, just because the fight could change again, could change the lead. But yeah, starting out with Buster, it is fun. You want to start with a partial charge because I think because the partial charge is a wider sprite, so the damage, the hurt box, starts out further, so it can actually reach him. If you just do a regular lemon, it doesn't reach him in time, so you have to do a partial charge. And Terrex is ahead now. We'll swap audio by, let's see, 45. And Chrissy is teleporting out at 51, so it's a 6-second difference in Terrex's favor now. But yeah, so you do a partial charge to hit him, so that's 1 damage, and then you do a full charge as soon as he comes out of his charge. He's invincible when he's charging. And that's 4 damage, which is the same amount as a Power Stone, so it does remove the need to do 1 Power Stone. So again, we'll see what Terrex opts to do here, if he does want to still go for Bubble Skip. Looks like he does. No holds barred. First screen is fine. It's the second screen where he's been having some trouble. Yeah, see, so Terrex fell again. Let's see if Chrissy gets it. Chrissy also fell, so I was gonna say falling is about I think like 16 or 17 seconds. But they both fell, so still on even footing here. Interestingly enough, it looked like they both did more or less the same setup. Of course, Terrex is doing boat skip here. Chrissy is not. And Chrissy has ended up having to slide because he didn't have enough arrow. So that's like 4 or 5 seconds there, probably. But there are so many different ways to do bubble skip. So many different setups, and like everyone has a different one. So it's rare to have a race where 2 people do such a similar setup. Usually it's very different. So that's actually really cool. Terrex is going to have to E-tank at some point, because he just took a lot of damage in the first screen, and then the laggy screen as well. Probably just hoping maybe to get a health drop here first. But I mean, E-tanking, as long as you can make it to the fight, it's not too bad, because you have to, of course, switch to charge kick anyway. So you can just E-tank in that menu, and it's just however many frames for your missing health that you end up. Oh god! Oh god! He might miss the letter now, though. Oh god. Okay. We have a race. We have a race now. Terrex missed the letter, so he will be going beatless. Terrex is going to be doing this run beatless, whereas Chrissy, as you saw in this menu right there, unlocked beat. That was... I mean, it was very impressive that he didn't die, that Terrex didn't die there. But wow, that was a roller coaster of emotions right there. Yeah. So yeah, I guess all of my talking about beatless before it did come into play. Yeah, he also did almost die. One more hit would have killed him. Is he on 0 lives? Terrex, I thought Terrex only died once though, but yeah, we'll see. So I think at this point, if you're used to beatless, then oh yeah, twice. Yeah, he did die twice. You're right. If you're used to beatless, you do still lose time because a lot of the beatless time save comes from the crystal skip, in which Terrex didn't do because he was expecting to get beat. So if you're practiced, but if you're practiced, you don't lose too much time beatless versus beat. But yeah, if you're not practiced, then the fights can be very scary. Terrex had a beatless run last night. Nice. Especially the Dark 4 fight, I think, is probably the hardest because Beat will attack through the boss's shield, no problem. But your Buster shots do not go through the shield, so you either have to time them to shoot when the shield is open, either when he uses it to attack you, or when it's rotated out of the way, or shoot it above, which is very hard. You don't have much of a... Wow. That was very scary for Chrissy, I feel like. You usually don't end up on that Yoku block, so that was interesting. Buster goes through if you're close enough. Huh. Oh, same as Starman, I guess? Yeah, you definitely want an E-Tank. Terrex did have to use his E-Tank, though. He uses backup E-Tank in wave, and... Well, I guess you can get the E-Tank in Dark 3 in the Stomper room at the end, so you can still get a backup. So yeah, this will come down to, I guess, how well Terrex knows his... Terrex has 3 lives. Definitely some room to breathe. Although, don't know if you got them all in the last stage. Yeah, it'll come down to how well Terrex can execute the beatless fights, and of course, at this point, how good his Capsule RNG is, because that is also another big consideration for beatless. Is does Capsule spawn low enough for you to hit him? Of course, another question is, does Chrissy know that Terrex doesn't have beat? I assume. Well, I think he has chat open. He was chatting in there earlier, so he might have seen. And so that that would give Chrissy some breathing room. Does he know that he has that breathing room? Of course, that is all just kind of mental at that point. I think. I don't think he would necessarily change his play based on that. But so this is the first fight that's a little different for beatless, because you would normally use beat. This is, I would imagine, Terrex wouldn't have issues here. You just kind of shoot him with charge busters. Oh, Crystal. Interesting. Is Crystal his actual weakness? I guess Crystal goes through his shields. Although his health is a little questionable at this point, but he gets through fine. So Chrissy, this is really close. I think Chrissy is like 3 or maybe 4 seconds behind. 48 teleport, 52 teleport. So yeah, Chrissy is 4 seconds behind at this point. And that'll likely change after Dark 4. Well, I mean, I say likely, but again, it comes down to how well Terrex can execute that fight. Man, how exciting. Beatless versus beat. But yeah, so that O, that letter in wave can be very scary. if you take damage like Terrex did, it can be very, you might not, because the issue there is, right, you've just taken damage, like, do you regain control soon enough to be able to jump and get the letter? Which, oh no, Chrissy, this is a really bad place to take a death. Basically anywhere in Dark 3 is a bad place to die. Although, as I say it, Terrex needs to do the rush jet back up. So, very interesting race. No E-Tank, he's opting to... So this is when you would normally M-Tank anyway, I think, if you were doing this backup. So Chrissy doesn't have as much... Oh wow, he actually got a big ammo drop. That helps a lot. So now he can probably do the normal strat? I was gonna say... he didn't have as much ammo, so... He might have had to adjust, but then he got a big ammo drop, so it actually worked out. So is Terrex going to get this E-Tank? He actually can't afford to, because he would actually die. Man, this is crazy. Make sure... Okay, he had to make sure he paused early. If he took damage there, I'm pretty sure he would have died. Tried to E-Tank, but he didn't have one. Okay, so this fight, depending... Oh god. It can be very scary. I think he's okay. If he gets frozen, he'll die. So it's he has to be very careful to manipulate the shots up. Okay. Whew. Okay, Terrex is through. That was very scary. Because... Yeah, I mean, based on the opening, he could have taken... normally you just deboost those hits, but of course he didn't have as much... See, like, Chrissy just deboosted the hit, but Terrex wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, so... Again, so now Terrex gets to do this fight, Dark 4, with no E-Tank and no beat. So I imagine he'll probably take it quite safe. He was gonna menu to beat, but then realized he didn't have it. I assume he'll take it safe, again, because he has no health recovery. And if you die in this fight, you have to do the tower over again. So, yeah, this will be scary. see how well he does. And of course, Chrissy's going to have beat like normal. So you see there, like, he was trying to time it so the shot hit him when the shield was out of the way, but it rotated so that it blocked it. Very tough fight. Even if I think even if you're practiced with it, it can be very difficult. I think as long as you want him to deploy the shields and jump, just because the shields are out of the way then. But he has 1 or 2 hits left. Yeah, you want him to do that versus the Oh god, he had 1 hit left. That was so close. And Chrissy also doesn't have any tank. No. Okay, Chrissy is through. That was also really scary. Chrissy was also 1 hit away. Good lord. Okay. So Chrissy's in the lead now. That was real scary. Oh my god. Terrex using Power Stone. Is Power Stone his actual weakness? I thought it was Star Crash was his weakness. I mean, the stones are doing like 2 damage, it looks like. Yeah, you definitely want him to jump. The shield gets out of the way, and I think you can hit him twice per jump, maybe. Oh my god, that was heartbreaking, man. Terrex was like 1 shot away, right? I think the boss only had 3 health left, but he just kept hitting the shield, unfortunately. I'm not so sure about the Power Stone. But yeah, I mean, I guess try anything. He did have three lives last I saw, so he at least has. Oh well, I guess gaming over here doesn't matter because it's the same as taking a death. Since you don't miss the checkpoint. Oh, another death again. Yeah, this is definitely the big problem with beatless if you're not used to it, is this fight. Very, very scary, very difficult to do. Oh, that's, yeah. You don't want to destroy that block because, as you see, not enough space. Not enough space. Yeah, so it looks like Terex might be forfeiting. I'm not in the SRL race, so I don't see. But I mean, he reset his timer and hasn't continued, so I imagine he would be forfeiting. But again, I'm not in the IRC channel, so I don't want to hit forfeit. Although. Okay, yeah. He did forfeit. So Chrissy just has to finish out this run then. He did unfortunately take a death at the end of the Crusher screen. I think his slide got eaten, is I assume what happened. Or he might have seen that Terex forfeited and was surprised at that. But yeah, that was a very, very unfortunate thing that happened to Terex. I mean, as soon as he missed the letter, it was always going to be very iffy because yeah, at that point you gotta if you're not practiced, those fights can definitely be scary. But yeah, so now we have Chrissy finishing it out. See how well he handles big pets. He is a little... Oh, okay, he is going to E-tank. I was going to say he is a little low on health. Which would be fine, you know, he would just need to take it a little safer. Not do all the deboosts, but opted to take it safe and E-tank anyway. It's just so he could do the same strats. This does mean he used his backup E-tank, but there is another E-tank in this stage in Wiley 2. Next to the M-tank. You can just jump and get the E-tank as well. Yeah, so there's the E-tank. Oh, he opts not to get it, interestingly enough. I guess he's confident in his capsule fights. His press and capsule fight. Taking some slides. He did walk on that platform before. That platform is long enough where if you start your slide at the very beginning, it will end before you get to the end. So if you land on the far left, you can slide and then jump at the very far right of the platform. But so he walked on that platform in previous runs, but this time he did slide, which meant he had to cancel the slide. But yeah, I gotta definitely agree with Fatso here. I mean, Terex gave a good shot. But nothing wrong with forfeiting, certainly. So this... Well, I mean, I guess... I was gonna say this fight could be scary if he needs a D-boost, but he only D-boosted one. And in chat, we see Chrissy is going for the rush jet skip. So normally you will see everyone do arrows, and you saw in all the other races, runners used arrows. You can also use rush jet to get the refight skip, which is how you have to do it if you do arrowless. And I mentioned before, Chrissy does do arrowless runs. So he's going to do charge. Again, normally you would do... You can do the regular refight skip from this capsule as well. But we opt to do napalm because napalm's easier and I think faster in general. But as far as I know, this might be incorrect, but as far as I know, you can only do the rush jet skip from the top, but that might not be accurate. So this is, again, just a showcase, I think, by Chrissy, showcasing the rush jet skip. And there you go, third try. That's quite good. I think the principle is the same. The same as the initial arrow skip, which was you have the vehicle, whatever you call it, either jet or arrow, at a certain height, and then you slide into it. You face left, slide into it, and then face right. I think it's frame perfect, but maybe it's a 2-frame window to turn right. I assume it's frame perfect because it is for the other setup as well. But yeah, so that's a very difficult thing to do. I think we thought it was tassel only until recently. But maybe people knew it was doable, just very difficult. So as far as I know, Chrissy, put a lot of time into figuring that zip out and getting it, relatively consistent. So really cool that he could showcase it. One thing is that, you may have noticed, or you may not have, but in the previous fights, the runners were getting a fast teleport, so they're teleporting out of that fight before the fanfare finished, like right after the fanfare started, basically. That time, and that's because of that's just kind of a byproduct of the refight skip. But you also, I believe, have to have full health coming out of the refight, and maybe Chrissy was missing 1 health, or maybe it's... I've never seen a top zip before, so maybe you don't get it on top zip, but I suspect it probably had to do with his health instead. Yeah, so Chrissy just finishing it out. His health is kind of low. I think he can take 2... I think he can take 2 hits without dying, but I'm not too sure. So it could come down to spawns. But I mean, like if you have a track like this, you know exactly where he's going to spawn. So in theory, you probably won't take damage. But it's now when you don't know where he's going to spawn that it could be kind of sketch. See, I don't know if Terex was sent a commentary, a post-game commentary link. Yeah, beat shows you. So GG, Chrissy. Chrissy finished, taking it down 2 games to 1, with an unfortunate and for Terrex, that is. So Chrissy gets to face off against Scarf then in the next race. You definitely give both runners a follow, Terex and Chrissy. that was crazy, man. Going into the Dark 4 fights like simultaneously were very scary, very stressful, and very clutch by Chrissy, and almost clutch by Terex. So let's see if Terex is in the setup. If he can join, might be joining for post-game interview, and see if Chrissy can join as well. Hello.
Hi.
GG Terex.
Yeah.
Well, so the second race was a PB, right? Or was it?
It was a 23-second PB.
Yeah, so that's
yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, well done there. That really big PB for a race. So that third run, how were you? What were you thinking? I guess as you saw that letter pass by.
I was thinking it's a good thing that I had the same thing happen for the first time last night at 2 a.m. I was like, great, I have practice on this. So I knew like what to do. I was like, what weaknesses to use otherwise. For Dark 2, I used Crystal Eye, for example. I hadn't 2 a.m. last night, so.
Right.
So that was fine as far as I was concerned. But as soon as it snowballed on Dark 4, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to swap the Power Stone for the fans.
Yeah.
Because I figured I was like way out of it at that point.
I wasn't sure if that was like the weakness. I thought it was something else, but I wasn't sure if if it was memeing or.
That's what I was told last night from Papat. So if it's wrong, blame Papat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was Star Crash, but I've never used it. But yeah, I mean that was that first that initial fight. I mean, you almost had him down. It was just
I had one left. I just
couldn't get that shield just kept being in the way, and like, I mean, if he had just jumped once more, to get that shield out of the way, type of thing. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely scary. I was wondering if you were like, was it a consideration of that you had of maybe getting the E-Tank in Dark 3 leading up to that, or was that
no, because the times that I've done that, the Stomper just absolutely destroyed me, and I never thought to like kill the Stomper with something else after that. So
right.
I just figured I'll be fine because like, all right, he'll jump a lot, and then he didn't jump a lot.
Yeah, that was definitely not great RNG, where he just kept shooting.
Yeah.
Especially, I assume you hadn't practiced it much if it had just happened to you last night.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd done it was last night. So.
Well, Chrissy is here. GG, Chrissy.
GG.
Thank you. I'm still shaking, man. I don't know what to say.
Congrats.
Were you reading chat, Chrissy? Did you see people's reactions in that third race?
Yeah,
figure out that Terex had unfortunately missed the letter.
Yeah, to be honest though, I still thought like if I would have messed up more in the castle stages, I was sure that you still could catch up with me. But I kind of knew that like as you're new to the game and you haven't done many beatless runs, that was gonna be bumpy road for you. But I still just kept pumping. Like I died in the end of press room, I think.
Yeah, the crusher room.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was definitely.
So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, it was still very close. Going into castles. So, I think, if Terex hadn't taken that unfortunate death against the Dark 4 boss at the end, it would have definitely gone down to the wire. I think
so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Really unfortunate. But yeah,
I was like hoping for like a. Yeah, it was all of the races, like especially the second one, and the first one, both of them, like especially for me, the second one, because I did a lot of mistakes in all the stages in the second one. But yeah, this was so much fun. I don't even know how to cope with this now.
Well, you're continuing, so you get to give another round against
don't
Scarf.
Say that. Oh, I don't want to see Dark 3 anymore. That level gives me anxiety, man.
Definitely a scary stage. But yeah, I mean, I guess what were your guys's? I mean, obviously Terex UPB'd, but like what were your highlights of this race? I suppose for both of you, if you have any. Yeah.
there on the first race in SRL, Chrissy types, "Whew, Dark 3 evil stage," and then I gold split it, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't say anything to him, but I was like, "Well."
Oh yeah, like I would say the jet refight skip was the thing. Everything else I think was mediocre from me. So, but if this would have been a arrowless pace run, by the way, everybody, you guys should run Mega Man 5 arrowless. Pretty good category. I actually, like in my current arrowless PB, I got the refight skip 4th try, so this was 3rd try, wasn't it? I think so.
Yes, third try.
Third try.
So yeah, I was like thinking to myself, why didn't I go arrowless on the start? Oh, this should have been a juicy PB for that. But yeah, I think that was for me, like, at least when I like. Well, my blood was pumping the whole race, like all 3 of them, but that was like real exciting right there.
Yeah, that definitely was really cool that you're able to showcase that jet skip. I think most of the viewers had not seen that, or even knew that it was possible. So definitely very cool that you were able to show it off.
Yeah, I thought like I was up closing in on the castle stages, so I thought I could probably like try that when Terex decided to forfeit. So.
Well, when you died to Dark 4 3 times.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh yes, he's going to use Power Stone against it, and then like I saw that you were like back in the bottom of the tower again, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, and then I died again after that, just trying to get up. I was like, I'm not going to win this. So.
The expected result of using Power Stone, I think.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I was doing fun at that point because I didn't think I was winning anyway after the first fan missing the letter. I was like, "There's no way I'm winning this," so I just put on Power Stone for the fans.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
always love more Power Stone.
I will say I'm very sad I didn't get the letter in Wave for the obvious reason I didn't have beat, but more so for the fact that I was about to die. I paused, 2 frames before death, E-tanked, and saved it, and then I just didn't jump high enough. Had I held the button down another frame, I would have had the letter.
Yeah, that was That was crazy. Yeah, it was really impressive that you were able to pause in time to E-Tank. That in of itself was like really impressive. But then I wasn't even sure if you would be able to, if you gain control fast enough to jump to grab the arrow.
I just didn't jump high enough. I don't know why I just didn't hold down the button for some reason. I just didn't. I should have, and it would have been fine. But oh well.
Yeah. Well, some
is the reason why you don't like? Is the reason why you don't you guys don't move over to the left so the fish jumps over you instead? Is that because you guys want to go to the right again to the quickest as possible get to the like the boat skip thing? Yeah. When you're grabbing the I don't even know anymore. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there's different ways you can do it.
I'll ask later.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I'll ask later. It's fine.
Yeah, but there are definitely some really clutch moments throughout the race, but especially that last run. We were talking about TerreX barely pausing in time to E-Tank and survive, but then missed the letter, and then TerreX, you also had. You only had like one hit, right? Going into D3 boss, the Dark 3 boss.
Yeah, I actually paused E-Tank and forgot I had used the E-Tank. So I went, well, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah, so that was scary.
Yeah.
And then both of you had the like super clutch, close Dark 4 boss fights also. Chrissy also almost died the first time as well. Or in the third race, he almost died.
Sure.
Yeah. And at that point, if he had died there, then you guys would have been fairly even. I don't know if you have enough beat to finish out the fight if you have to do it a second time.
It'd still be easier to do half beat than half cluster, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, GG, guys. Good luck in the next rounds, Chrissy. I don't know if you guys have any closing remarks.
Yeah, just GG. I didn't think I was going to win this, just given how recently I picked up the game. I don't have any consistency with the game. So, like, I think I've got a better PB than Chrissy now, but, like, I don't know, like, any backups
I'll fix
or anything, so... When something happened, I was just like, alright, well, I'm done.
Race PB is always good.
Yeah, it is. So it was good. Fun race.
All right, well, GG both of you guys, and definitely hope everyone tunes in for all the future races. I'm not sure. I don't think any of them are scheduled yet, but hopefully we'll be able to get some more scheduled. I think there's one more race for the first round, and then we're moving into the second round of the tournament. So yeah, GG, Chrissy and TerreX. Definitely give those guys a follow. And if there's nothing else, then have a good day, everyone.
Yep. Have a nice day, everybody. Goodbye.
See ya.